You're watching the Press Row, and we're talking basketball in Oklahoma, the Thunder, Oklahoma, and Oklahoma State. I'm Mike Sherman, and this is Barry Trammell, John Rohde, Jenny Carlson, Oklahoman columnists all. Guys, first question. Who's got a better shot at the postseason among these teams? The Thunder, OU, or OSU? I'll start with you, John.
Well, right now they're all kind of on the cut line. OU might be a little bit below after last night's loss, but I'm going to go with the Thunder because they played together longer. I mean, you got all these fresh faces at OU, and at OSU, I believe they have 7 newcomers, Jenny. They're figuring it out, but I just don't think that it's the right mix at OU and OSU this year.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm ready to buy into the Thunder making the playoffs, not because of them, but because of who they're going to be fighting with to get maybe one of those final spots in the playoffs. I think there's some really veteran teams they know how to win when the postseason's on the line. I'm not sold that Oklahoma has righted the ship yet. I'm seeing signs, but I think Oklahoma State's probably the team I look at coming out of their non-conference, sitting not as good as they could be, but not bad. And so far, I think that they've taken care of the business they need to take care of in conference play. That you lose on the road, that's going to happen, but winning at home, that's important. I think right now, Oklahoma State by a slight margin.
I'm going to go with the Thunder, not because I think the Thunder will make it. I just don't think OU and OSU will. OU's non-conference record just pretty much knocks the Sooners out. OSU doesn't look to me like the kind of team that can get a couple of the needed road wins and then win out at Gallagher-Iba. I think both of those will get shut out of the NCAA tournament, which just leaves the Thunder. I think it's uphill for the Thunder. I think it's going to be difficult to get to the 46, 47 wins, but I think they've got a better shot at that than OU or OSU does to get to 9-7 or 10-6 in the Big 12.
In the Oklahoman this morning and on News OK right now, Mike Baldwin does an analysis of the rest of the Thunder's schedule. Guys, the last 14 games, difficult. 5 back-to-backs. Lots of those back-to-backs are in places. The second half is like in Boston, in Denver, in Portland. The last 14 games, they've got a homestand against all Western Conference playoff titans. I think it's going to be difficult, but then you've got the home court advantage, which the Thunder's got a few more home games in the second half of the season, which brings us to the next question. Which of these three now have the best home court advantage? Barry?
Crazy it sounds, I think it's OU.
You got to be kidding.
It looks to me like the Sooners are playing better at home than the Thunder plays at home or OSU plays at home. I mean, who knew that Lloyd Noble was such a snake pit? But the Sooners have played better at home this year. Their best performances have been at home. The Thunder, for crying out loud, they don't even know they're playing at home. They play as well in San Antonio as they do at home against Charlotte. So I don't think it's the Thunder. So it's one of the Bedlam schools. And to me, OU looks better at home compared to what it does on the road than does OSU.
I think the question's flawed. I know that's
What is this?
There's a home court advantage. Is it the fans you're asking about or how well the team plays? Barry's right. The Thunder doesn't know if it's home or on the road. But home court advantage, I believe the Thunder has had 12 sellouts this year. OU and OSU may go the whole year without a sellout. Technically it'll be a sellout, but there'll be some empty seats. Jenny, I say home court advantage, Thunder.
Home court atmosphere, if that's the question at hand, and I agree, I think that's a better question. I go Thunder. Yeah, Oklahoma's won at home, but I don't think it's some sort of magic, or Oklahoma State for that matter. They've just played teams that they can beat at home. Look at the non-conference schedules. It's not like they've had a bunch of teams come in there that you think, wow, these are teams that could really beat Oklahoma or Oklahoma State. So I think the Thunder, while it's bizarro to me, guys, that they are so good on the road and only marginally better at home. I mean, I don't understand why that would be, but I think the atmosphere, clearly the best at the Thunder. And there are going to be teams that come to both Norman and Stillwater that are better than those two teams, and they're going to beat them regardless of home court.
By the way, if we're going to critique the question, the word is advantage, not atmosphere, just in case anybody was wondering. Final question. Who is better set at point guard for the foreseeable future? The Thunder, Oklahoma, or Oklahoma State? John?
Well, there's not many people in this world that Russell Westbrook is actually older than, but he's older than the 2 freshman point guards at OU and OSU. I'll give it to Russell Westbrook and the Thunder. He's already taken some of his licks, and in the last month, Barry, he's played phenomenal. I'm going to go with Westbrook on this one. Tommy Mason-Griffin last night, probably his best game as a Sooner. I'm still going to go with Westbrook.
Well, as the unabashed president of the Russell Westbrook fan club, I'm naturally going to say Tommy Mason-Griffin. I think Westbrook's going to be a star. The question about Russell Westbrook is 6 years from now, is he going to be a star or an all-star? I don't think we know the answer to that question. But in the foreseeable future, a year or two from now, I think Tommy Mason-Griffin is going to be a star and a big-time point guard leader for the Oklahoma Sooners. I think we saw last night, as you mentioned, John, he played fantastic. Jeff Capel said he's the best player on the floor on a court with Willie Warren and A&M veterans like Sloan and Brian Davis, who are big-time players. Tommy Mason-Griffin was the best player on the floor. I think he's going to be a big-time player in a couple of years and help get Oklahoma back to the NCAA tournament.
I think the fact that Mason-Griffin continues to improve, and he's improving as the competition has gotten tougher, that's been really impressive. And Ray Penn is not bad either, guys. I think he's a player for Oklahoma State that you can definitely depend on. He's maybe not been as dynamic yet as Tommy Mason-Griffin, but I think Ray Penn's showing signs of being a solid point guard. But to me, who's better set at point guard? I don't think there's any question. It's the Thunder. I think Russell Westbrook's the real deal. He can get where he wants to go. He can do what he wants to do. He's turned around some of those negatives, the turnovers, and some of the bad decisions. Is he still going to make some from time to time? Sure, but any player will. I think Russell Westbrook's clearly the best guy at point.
Westbrook's the right answer, only because the NCAA does not allow max deals for its
Good question, by the way. Well phrased.
Yeah,
Thanks, appreciate it. That's all for this edition of the Press Row, but you can stay with the best coverage team anywhere, every day at News OK, and every morning in the Oklahoma.